mutual. German culture.
Would make it 7-1 then. Borussia Dortmund picking up the win. Gab and Robbo are with us. Robbo, from all that we just saw, what would you like to talk about?
Well, I think Brendan Rodgers said it was probably Celtic's best performance of the season. You know, if you looked at the stats, he said that it was possibly that. But and Ali said it. How many poor teams or poor players do you see trying to play out from the back and giving goals away? When will coaches learn that sometimes you've got to bypass the pressure? If you're not good enough, you don't know how to play out from the back, you need to bypass the pressure and play higher up the field and stop giving bad goals away, because you see from those goals there's a lot given away at the moment.
Brendan Rodgers has not got a handle on his tenure, first time around and now this time around as Celtic manager, particularly away from home. He thought he'd exercised Demon Slovan Bratislava at home, Matchday 1. Obviously, they're a poor side, but they scored 5. But the big problem is, when they go away from home, because they're so dominant in the Scottish League, that they don't have to worry too much about defending, but when they go away to decent sides, they're so open, it's scary. I mean, the last time out, he lost, and this is it, he lost 7 in Barca, which you can do. That was back when I think Messi was still there. But, you know, he talked about himself as being an elite-level manager before the game, and then after the game, they'd been gubbed by 7. They lost 7 in Paris against PSG. They've lost 7 tonight, and they lost 6 at Atleti a few years ago. So it's been shown that he just doesn't have the capabilities to go away and even try and shut up shop. He thinks he can go away and play the way they play in the Scottish League, and they get absolutely battered because of it. And he is going to get an absolute roasting tonight from those Celtic fans. I don't expect him to go to Dortmund and win, or any of these places. But at least you've got to try and make yourself competitive. Counter-attack, difficult to beat, but understand where you are with your budget and your squad to go away to a difficult place, big crowd, big stadium, and keep it tight. I mean, 5-1 at half-time. And I mentioned all those other scores. It's proof in the pudding that he just cannot go away from home to these bigger teams and even muster up a performance.
Hansi Flick, meanwhile, Ali, we mentioned, rested players against Osasuna. A tough place to go, and it was Osasuna who won. We knew it was going to be easy today. Did he make a mistake?
Well, we were saying he was making a mistake before they lost to Osasuna. It isn't just now in hindsight that we're saying, well, see, young boys, you could have done a whole lot with rotating the team against young boys and not against Osasuna. Well, if you just do a little bit of homework, not a whole lot, a little bit of homework, you would know that young boys, they're second to last in their own league. And so this is not exactly a team that is flying. If indeed you were going to do the rotation and you were going to do a deep rotation of the group, hey, guess what? Don't do it at Osasuna. Don't do it in a place in which they're waiting for you to come. They're excited. The stadium is packed. They're creating the environment. The players are excited that you're there. Now everybody's got something to prove. Brian Zaragoza, every time that he sees Barcelona, he becomes the best player in the history of mankind. Look, it was just not the moment to take that sort of chance. And mind you, I think what was more important, and it's something that perhaps we haven't discussed enough, is that he knew going to Osasuna that if he won that match, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid were playing against each other the next day. And what a statement he could have made for Barcelona in terms of putting pressure on both Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid to keep up with them. That should have been the priority. It was not. And so now you put this team out against young boys full of your stars, the ones that are available. And of course, you made young boys look silly.
Gab, what would you like to discuss from what we saw from those games?
Well, just on the Barcelona thing, I mean, I think equally we also have to remember what happened in week 1. And I think if they had won that game handily, he might have approached these 2 games a bit differently. He wanted to get the points in the bag, I think was his idea. I think we saw some phenomenal goals in the PSV game. The Jordi Schouten, I think is his name, used to be at Torino, and as well as the equalizer. But I want to give a shout out to Brest. I think it's tremendous. Another win, 4-0 at Salzburg. And I was thinking to what I think it was Craig was saying earlier about, you know, Celtic being too open, and when you go away from home, you need to defend and play on the counter. I think what we're seeing in these, let's say, maybe second-tier leagues, you know, outside of the Big Five, is a lot of these teams dominate domestically. I mean, they are the Man City of their leagues, whether it's Celtic, whether it's Red Star Belgrade, Slovan Bratislava, whoever you want. And so they go out there, they're used to having 60% of the ball, they're used to scoring 2-3 goals, they're used to attacking from the first minute to the last. It's a really big adjustment for them, and I think for their coaches, and the coaches have to be really good to do this, to say, now that we're in the Champions League, we're the minnows, so we're going to be humble, we're going to go, we're going to defend, we're going to park the bus and play on the counter. They're just not built to do that, and I think that's why we see some results like that. Whereas by contrast, Brest, who did it all season last year in Ligue 1, they're getting into the Champions League and saying, well, hey, bring it on. You know, we're going to sit and we're going to counterattack and we're going to defend because that's how we roll.
Gab, great stuff. Thank you very much. Just a reminder then of all the results that we saw in the Champions League on Tuesday. As Gab mentioned, of course, impressive stuff from Brest, winning by 4-0 in the early games. Took up 1-1 against Sparta Praga. Elsewhere, of course, the games that we discussed.